are we going? Where are we going? It's Retraction time! I'm Antoine.
I'm Jamie, and we're reversing course through discourse.
It's episode 92 as we cruise on towards 100. That's right, 100 episodes, and we thank you, listener, for being there every step of the way. Without it, we'd just be a husk, a shell of our former podcasting selves.
Well, if we didn't have listeners, we probably wouldn't have gotten past 10. So, approaching 100. Let's not get too excited. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But the countdown has begun. Wow, I wish you could put in that final countdown music right now.
I do too.
You just had a guitar. Can you just plug it into an amp and just kind of riff?
You want to take 30 minutes away from the pod right now? You want to set that up? Because then I got to look up the chords. It's the final countdown.
That's right. Air guitar. That works.
The best version of that is definitely from the Bluths. Dang it. What is it? Rested.
What is that?
Rested. Isn't that what Job comes out to for his magic show? It's the final countdown. That's what he comes out to. Job in Arrested Development.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I gotta watch the show. I've seen only
fair enough.
Yeah, I haven't watched that straight through.
All right, I won't belabor the point. But for the listener out there, they're chuckling because it's always a funny bit.
There you go.
All right,
well,
yeah. You got something?
I got something. I got it.
Okay.
You want me to go? All right.
Yeah, sure. Go. Hit us with what you
Call
got.
back to one of our most popular episodes. Move over to Telosa.
Oh, no way. There's a new super city.
There's a new city in town. It's called...
Yeah, go on.
I don't know how to pronounce this. Neom. It's called Neom. I'm just going to go with Neom.
Okay.
But it has an impressive feature known as the line. The line.
You gotta go on about that. What is the line?
So the line's marketing calls itself a civilization revolution that puts humans first. And when I read that, I was like, that sounds really familiar. And I actually don't remember if that's from Telosa or if that's the Forward Party. Didn't we cover something on the pod that we're human first thing?
Telosa, Forward Party. I think they have similar. There's definitely convergence between the two. So yeah, why not?
All right. So this thing is basically a 650-foot wide, 1,600-foot high, which is taller than the Empire State Building, and 106-mile long parallel walls across Saudi Arabia that millions of people can live inside. And I've seen estimates from 9 million to 100 million. I'm assuming the 100 million is the capacity, but they expect more of 9 million to move in. 100% renewable, no roads or emissions. No carbon emissions, I would say. Has high-speed rail that can carry you from end to end in 20 minutes. Flying taxis, schools.
Like 650 feet? I would hope that you could get from end to end in 20 minutes.
No. 106 miles long.
Oh.
End to end.
Oh, 100. So what was the 650? What number?
Wide.
650 wide.
So imagine a wall, and it's 650 feet wide and 106 miles long. The line. Hence the name, the line.
Okay, go on.
Flying taxis, schools, homes, parks, a stadium, a marina, farms, offices. 95% of the land will be preserved for nature, including waterfalls. And I think that's actually the space in between the two walls, those parallel things. It will have year-round indoor and outdoor climate control, a 5-minute walk to all amenities, and a 2-minute walk to parks and natural elements for everyone.
Okay.
The line consists of 3 layers: pedestrians, infrastructure, and transportation. That's kind of it in terms of the stats.
Is that all we know?
Well, I mean, there's articles about it. There's more that we know. There's no timeline for completion, but earthworks have started in October 2021, and it's expected that 1.5 million will live there by 2030.
What is the cost of the city, and who is flipping the bill?
I'm assuming Saudi Arabia with their oil profits.
Cool.
And the cost, I've seen anywhere from 100 billion to 1 trillion.
Okay.
Depending on, I guess.
So it's a Saudi city of the future.
Part of a bigger initiative, apparently, for this like mega city Neom. But this line is like a defining feature, of course, in it.
And
They want to have like
100%,
the biggest green factory in the world. They want all this kind of stuff.
So 100% sustainable little carbon footprint in the desert. Another city in the desert.
So that's interesting, right? So it's actually across a desert, the coast, and mountains.
Okay.
But I guess mainly the desert.
You didn't denote any fresh water going around there, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
So-
This was like an oasis.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so I thought this was an interesting concept, especially when we have debated in the past the efficiencies and pros and cons around cities versus sprawl, right?
Yeah.
Like cities themselves can be self-contained and efficient, but I've always argued maybe it's a losing argument because clearly no one cares, but their footprint totally erases the ecosystems they sit on top of, right? It's very destructive, very disruptive. But when it's built, it's efficient, I guess, for people.
Yeah.
However,
this is about putting humans first. First, Jamie.
Humans first. It's a humans first ideology.
That's right. That's what cities are about. Humans first.
But what I like about this line concept, and it may be, totally ignorant of me to think of it this way, but it's almost like it cuts through ecosystems instead of stamping them out, right? You're kind of just like, you're only disrupting a slice of an ecosystem, and hopefully it can adapt, right? It can absorb that disruption,
right?
Instead of just like totally eradicating it. So I kind of like that concept. Now, I have no idea if when you build something like that, if it disrupts weather systems, like weather patterns, like how a huge mountain range, you can have like a monsoon on one side and a desert on the other. If there's going to be any type of effect from this thing being as tall as the Empire State Building, running 106 miles long. So I guess we'll see.
Do people live within the walls themselves?
Yeah, the walls are where they live. So imagine two walls,
yeah, okay,
right, running parallel, and then in between is all the green area.
Yeah, okay.
It's interesting. So not everyone is on board with this.
It sounds like a pervert's dream. you got all these people lined up in a wall. They've got I assume they've got window space. You only have 160 feet between you.
How is this city any different?
That's pretty good. The fact that their buildings are not just every building is just facing one. I mean,
they got blinds,
in an apartment.
People have blinds.
Yeah, it sounds a little creepy. That's all I'm trying to say here. I mean, you say one person with a telescope could do a lot of damage.
How is that your argument? You're from the city. That is,
yeah, but the city you face maybe 1-2 buildings at most. This is just a wall of people that is just far enough for you to be able to position a telescope to peep into. I mean, it looks at this rate, it sounds like thousands of windows.
You'll just have thermal imaging in your window, so you could just see everything through the blinds.
Could get a little creepy. I mean, that withstanding. I mean, we have even talked about the Saudis. Any kind of contentiousness with human rights. I mean, and we haven't even talked about who's building this city and how those people are getting paid.
So they said it would cost like 380,000 jobs or something like that. I'm assuming they'll be paid appropriately.
Okay. That's an interesting assumption.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to get into the politics of it all. I just thought on its face, not even whether or not this ever happens, but the idea of a layered wall. Now, maybe to get around weather issues, right? If I was going to dwell on that, you could break it up. Maybe it's more of a dotted line than a wall. I don't know. But I just found it to be interesting because my thing with cities and why I'm advocating sprawl, even though I understand how inefficient it is, unless you can create some type of hidden infrastructure where nature can still take root, but you can deliver power and utilities and stuff to everyone. But you're disrupting the ecosystems less. What I like about this is, like I said, you're not stamping out such a large footprint, right? You're not creating these concrete jungles. You're allowing nature to integrate a little more, or in this case, just you're integrating into nature almost. It's like absorbing you in a sense. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, clearly this is happening, like you said, mainly in the desert. I don't know how this would work if you put it in the rainforest or you put it through a deciduous or a temperate forest, right? If you ran it through New Jersey or something, I don't know how this would work, but the concept is interesting. I thought it's a different way of looking at a city, not one that I've seen before.
I wonder how if you could see it from space, since everything's as high as the not that. I mean, I also don't remember if you could see the Empire. I doubt you could see the Empire State Building from space, but I think you could see the Great Wall of China, which is sort of what I'm getting at.
Is it? Can you? I feel like I've heard that, and I actually don't know if that's true.
Oh, you think? Oh, is that a myth?
It might be.
Okay,
Maybe it isn't.
enough.
I don't know. It might. No, you might be able to. I don't know.
I thought
I've heard it from space.
Yeah,
well, let's see. Ken
we'll do it live, people. We'll do it live.
comes in. I don't even have to finish it. It has become a space-based myth.
So you can't see it. So the
The Great
photos
Wall
are
of
fake.
China, frequently billed as the only man-made object visible from space, generally isn't, at least to the unaided eye in low Earth orbit. It certainly isn't visible from the moon. You can see a lot of other results of human activity. That is from NASA. So there you go.
So,
Stop spreading that.
Yeah, stop spreading. I mean, stop spreading the news.
But to be fair, the Great Wall of China is not 650 feet wide. So this you may be able to see from space. This
that's interesting.
maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see rivers. That's why I got tripped up, because I'm like, well, you can see like water features. But I guess, this would be a very thin river, even the Great Wall, right? So maybe it's just not thick enough.
Okay.
Not wide enough. So yeah, that is that.
It's a good story.
What I thought was interesting with this, they were naming all this stuff, very residential driven. They mentioned commercial and stuff, but it made me think like, well, one, would you live there?
No.
Not necessarily there, but in a construct like that. If that was the city of the future that was adopted more widely across the globe, would you move in to a East Coast based line running up and down the Eastern Seaboard?
The fact that it's an interesting proposition. It's so unknown to us. I think that that's part of it. Based on its specs alone, it sounds amazing, and it sounds like something that I would aspire to live in. Yeah, with the if it were in the East Coast, I think sure I'd probably give it a try. It sounds more efficient than any city that we currently have to date. So it's hard to knock it based on everything it's promising. It's just a matter of whether those promises become a reality. That's always going to be the that's our bar.
I mean, there's a dystopian side of this. Do you feel like this is some type of like futuristic prison where
it's only dystopian
kept captive?
Well, that's
because you're going into this like enclosed area where
that's true of any city. You could lock off any city. I mean, that's why those what is it? The Escape from LA or the you could wall. I was to say you could technically wall off most cities. I guess you're saying because, but this is it walled off though from all at like angles, or is there a way? There must be a way out.
It is like, yeah, you could definitely get out, right? I mean, yeah, it's probably, think of it like an apartment building, right?
Yeah,
that you can just leave,
right?
But
the only way out is like
more of
106 miles one way or the other.
But so I don't know if it's like you have. I mean, this is an interesting point, because is it like an apartment building or is it like a cruise ship where people are being funneled towards a common exit, entrance, gateway, portal, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah.
Or is it like, every 10 people, every 5 people have their own exit? I don't know how that would be.
I mean, it definitely sounds like it sounds like Raccoon City. I mean, it sounds like it's ripe for a zombie apocalypse to occur. It definitely, it's perfect. It's perfect for one. In fact, I would imagine that someone right now, a game developer or writer somewhere, is building their ideas around this new city for the next great zombie epic. Because yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any more better. It doesn't get any better than that.
The next RPG map is going to be the line.
There's only one way in and one way out. It's gonna be good. I love it.
So the other thing I was thinking about, was I didn't mention like hotels or tourism.
Okay.
But would you
tons of it?
Would you vacation there?
I don't know. Do you normally want to go to Saudi Arabia?
Would you vacation in a city like that somewhere else?
Okay. Somewhere else? Yeah, of course. Definitely. People visit cities all the time. You people who hate New York. You have people who would say, I would rather, stick needles in my eyes than live in New York. And yet, if you ask them, have they ever been to Times Square, they'll probably say, yes, I took the family once. Yeah, I would definitely take a gander at it. There's no reason not to, especially because that end-to-end transportation promise is definitely unheard of. 20 minutes to get from one end of a city to the next is that's a dream. That's a holy grail. So that alone, I would just take it just to take the transport and time it to make sure I can get from one place to the other in 20 minutes. That's crazy.
There you go. All right.
20 minutes. I mean, that's like getting from one part of
20 minutes
Brooklyn to another part of Brooklyn.
In 106 miles?
The next neighborhood.
It sounds pretty good. I don't know how fast high-speed trains are supposed to go, but it sounds good.
It's interesting to see how they implement it, because that's going to be like, is it a subway? Is it underground in the desert? Like, are they?
Remember, it's layers. No, it's not underground. So the 1,600-foot wall is divided into 3 layers. Now, I think within those layers, you have multiple layers, but it's pedestrian, transportation, infrastructure.
I mean, this is very Fifth Element, isn't it? When you think about it, like, think about the way the Fifth Element city was designed. I mean, all you're missing are flying cars at this point, though. If everything's layered, I mean, that's very cyberpunk.
Yeah, I'm sure they drew on inspiration, and they're not unique to do that, drawing from sci-fi.
So it makes me wonder, are you
flying car?
Well, I guess, no. That's a whole other topic that we have. I think we've talked about that. And I think I've said no.
You said no.
And again, we're talking about, we don't want that hierarchy to come in as well, because you're wondering, well, who gets the top floors, the floors that get all the sun?
Who gets the coast, and who's in the middle where the desert is?
I'm just trying to say, who are on the bottom floors? Like, what's the bottom level of this city going to be like?
Do you have to ask?
Well, it's a city of the future, so you would hope that there would be a lot more, and you're putting people first. So
what would be cool is if all the rooms were kind of on independent tracks, and they all just constantly moved. So everyone was
everyone's equal.
Everyone was on the bottom.
You get to live in until you find out that someone's been tampering. Someone's getting more time at the top.
How come my time's at the top is always 4 a.m.?
That's right. Yeah, or that. Well, I guess it's a watch this space in terms of to say if this is going to be a massive human rights violation or realist, truly, which could be a true mark of the city of the future.
And they didn't talk about defenses.
Like, what defenses? What do you mean? Why would you need defenses?
Imagine like giant gun turrets, like
why mounted. Would you? No, it's a city, not a city state. All right, it's not its own government.
It looks like a fortress. It looks like it should have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it should have defenses.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, maybe that's part of it too. Survive nuclear holocaust.
Well, that's that.
Yeah.
Update on a new future.
It's so funny. My topic was a revisit as well, but yours isn't truly a revisit. You're scaling. You're expounding upon an old topic. But my topic is a revisit because I wanted to go back to a previous issue that I felt that we did not leave as clear as we possibly could have. Alaska. Do you think anyone pronounces Alaska? Alaska.
No, I don't. I don't think that's an accent that exists.
You don't think so?
Nope. Alaska?
Traveling up to Alaska. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like the Martians, actually. It sounds like the Martian Texan accent in The Expanse.
Oh, that's what we're going. Okay, yes, a fictional accent.
Yeah, fair enough. Traveling up to Alaska.
Yeah, it sounds like the pilot.
Yeah, it's the pilot. Yeah,
what that they killed off.
Yeah, sad. Alaska better elections implementation. So I have the Alaska Board of Elections website up right here because they, ahead of ranked choice voting, and this is listener, you have to go back to an episode where we talked about the ranked choice voting in Alaska and ranked choice voting in general, and I wasn't as prepared in terms of what ranked choice voting actually meant in Alaska, because there are variations to ranked choice voting. The Alaska board does the best job I could say in terms of explaining it to its population. And I think this is very cool. So check this out.
Alaskans will use ranked choice voting in general elections for federal and state races. Instead of choosing just one candidate, you fill in the oval in column 1 for the candidate you would most like to win. Then, vote for your second choice in column 2, and so on. Ranking other candidates does not impact your first choice, but you don't have to rank them all. For your vote to count, you should mark only one oval in each row and one oval in each column. We take the ballots and count all the first choices. If a candidate gets at least half of the votes in round 1, they win. If this doesn't happen, we continue to round 2, and the candidate with the least first choice votes is eliminated. We count the voter's next remaining candidate choice instead of their choice for the eliminated candidate, meaning they still have a say in who wins. We repeat these steps in rounds until there are only 2 candidates left, and whoever has the most votes wins. That's how ranked choice voting works. Check out our website and follow us on social media to make sure you're ready to rank it up, Alaska.
Rank it up, Alaska.
Alaska, the
Honestly,
state of the future.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like,
That was a great video.
That is a good marketing gig for a government
but you know what?
organization to come up in this country. That was fantastic.
It is an informative and like useful video. I don't know. Yeah, I think they did a really good job. They focused on exactly what they needed to focus on. It was for a great reason. It just, all around, bravo, Alaska.
I know it's rare, but it's so beautiful to see government work. I don't know what's going on in Alaska, but it looks like they're turning into some sort of like progressive dream, and at least in this area, in terms of the way that they are handling their government and information and ranked choice voting. So I actually pulled up a ballot here I know they explained it, and you can't see it because I'm not sharing, but there is a place for write-ins. So I was right about that without knowing.
And you said you don't have to vote for everyone, right? And that's what they
correct.
said too.
You don't have to vote for everyone. But I also wanted to point out that it's no different than a regular ballot in that even though you're doing ranked choice, you could still do a write-in. So if you didn't want any candidate whatsoever, you could write in a candidate and make them your first choice. So it's very similar. It just ends up being more democratic in the way that the voting eventually shakes out. So
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I wish everyone would do it. Why aren't more democratically run states doing this?
Well, we talked about it doesn't really favor any of the predominant parties, but yeah, I don't know. Alaska got it done.
That was a good video. That was a good share because that, again, like you said before, it really opens you up to independents getting more of a foothold.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Especially with some of the local and state positions where you're voting for like 3-4 people at a time. Mm-hmm. Some of your boards and stuff like that. Like if that was implemented there, I think you could actually get independence, more independence on those. I think that's wow. It's obviously useful at that level, at like the federal level and the upper state ones where it's like one person for each position. Yeah. But I think it could really shine where you're having multiple people per position.
Yeah, and like I said before, it prohibits it basically it doesn't prohibit it, but it just makes it less likely that someone feels compelled to vote down ballot. To simply say that, all right, I'm a Democrat. I don't necessarily like every single Democrat on this ballot in every single position, but I'd rather have them here than the opposition. In this scenario, you could just pick and choose the people you actually like the most, and you can hope that other people also like them the most, and therefore it isn't just going to be a blue or red affair. It will be a hodgepodge at the end of the day, based on whoever is getting the most votes through each round. So yeah, I'm just saying.
I love it.
It's pretty cool.
Is there any murmurings or whisperings of this happening in other states? I know when we covered it last time, I think we said New York, maybe Massachusetts, Alaska, and I think there was like a Nevada or Arizona or something.
Okay.
That was thinking about doing it. And apologies.
I think more people as it works out and the word spreads from other states that have adopted it, I think that it could gain traction. I mean, that's the ideal, is to have it gain traction from testimony, where people in Alaska say, we love our ranked choice voting, and it's it's something that we would promote, and we would love to see it on the general stage in terms of like federal elections. I mean, if it starts at the federal, like if we start doing this for our presidential elections, then it's only a matter of time before it filters down to the bottom.
It's interesting that they said federal. How does that work? I guess for your senators and congressmen, but that would be it, right? Like you can't do it for the president, right? Because no one else is doing it, so that doesn't work for something like that.
No, I think it would work. I think it would work because
who's counting?
You're within this, just within the state. So I mean, it's the same thing for the Electoral College. It's just going to be. You could still do the rounds per. I don't know if you would do it per area. I think you would just do it in the state overall. I think
so. It's, you're right.
You,
it's to win the state, right? It's It's for the presidential nominee to win the
that state, right? And then
the
Electoral College will carry that forward. So I don't see why they wouldn't use it in the presidential election when that comes around next time.
That's interesting, and
it'll be interesting to watch it happen. To be fair, so
it's really good because if they do that, I really hope we'll see what they turn it into. But the media will have to report on it, right? They'll be forced in the general election to report on who wins Alaska.
I'm
hoping that they shine light on this method, because that is a perfect opportunity to widely introduce this to the general population and give them an education.
Yeah.
I mean, whether they take it up on that, I don't know, but that's.
I mean,
they have a
if Alaska was more of an
there.
important state, I think a more important swing state needs to adopt it, and then you'll get the media frenzy talking about the ranked choice voting and how that is affecting how that state ultimately picks their candidate. But Alaska isn't a swing state. It's not really something that people are like hedging on. Like, oh my God, what's Alaska gonna do? So
no, it's fine.
Yeah, unfortunately, but that's the problem with our Electoral College as it stands. The whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle centers around a couple of states, and everyone else can basically just go play in the sand because nobody really cares.
All right. Well, that's interesting.
Anyway, but that's what I had. So I wanted to get that update out because a listener brought it back to my attention that we didn't actually round out and finish what is going on with Alaska and their ranked choice voting. And I hope that sheds a little bit more light on what's happening to our brethren up north.
That is an excellent recall. And I'm glad we had some clarity on that one. I learned something.
As did I. So
that's what it's all about.
Jimmy, where can they find us?
At Retraction Media. Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know your thoughts. Keep sending us ideas just like this one. Look how informative and educational and hopefully helpful that will be going forward. Tell your friends, family, anyone who likes listening to politics and science and history and all that kind of stuff. Tell them about Retraction Podcast. Send them your favorite episode and rate us on your favorite podcasting platform.
And with that, Retraction out.